Hey there YouTube, this is SJM4306 back with another review video. Sorry I'm doing quite a lot of these right now. Still in the process of setting up everything in terms of like the lab. But today we are super zoomed in for some reason. Let me fix that. Zoom out. There we go. Okay, you can actually see now. So yeah, I was contacted by a company and they make one of the things that I have a keen interest in. Company's name is Rogbid. I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. That's a very interesting company name, by the way. But anyway, I was contacted by them because they wanted to see if I was interested in smartwatches. And if you have watched enough of my videos, you'll know that I am a fan of smartwatches. And of course, the heating system kicks in as soon as I go to record a video. It's silent for half an hour before now. Anyway, so yeah, I love smartwatches. I have a number of smartwatches. I mostly wear my Samsung. It's my Gear S2, I believe is the model number on that. Samsung gets a little funky with their naming scheme, much like Sony. But anyway, yeah, I've been using that for a number of years. Kind of within the last year, the band broke, though, and it uses this weird, funky band, which is very comfortable, but I haven't really been able to easily find a replacement band for it, and even if I could, I probably don't want to spend too much on it. Anyway, so I am in need of a new watch. I've been just wearing a regular old analog battery-powered quartz watch. So, Rogbid is here to save me from that boringness with a bag inside of a bag. I love these inflatable bags. I don't know why. They're just really fun to play with. Anyway, easily amused. Anyway, we have the model right here. It says Smartwatch. Link contact to comfortable. Okay. There we go. Compact to contact to comfortable. I'm not really sure what they mean by there, but okay. This model in particular is the S2. Wow, my voice just went up an octave. This is, for all intents and purposes, basically like a military ruggedized smartwatch. And you can see here the specifications. Has a Realtek 8763E, which from what I read, it seems actually pretty overpowered for what you would generally need in a smartwatch. But okay. Has a 1.83 inch screen with a pretty high DPI, pretty high resolution, 240 by 284. The battery is 450 milliamp hours, and that's one of the standout points on this model. Is they said that this should be able to last like significantly longer than you'd expect. I forget what the literature says, but it was like in the multiple weeks in terms of battery runtime. So that I'm really interested in. Even my Samsung smartwatch, I would have to charge that once a week at least, depending on how often I used it and if I kept pressing the button to see the time. So yeah, we're definitely interested in that. Hopefully that'll net us that's a pretty sizable battery for something that fits on your wrist. So RAM 128 megs. Now I don't think this runs Android or anything like that. This probably has its own like flash based UI. We'll see about that though. Bluetooth 5.1, so that's low energy, I believe, so that should definitely also help with the battery life. And here it says system, Android or iOS. So that's what phone you need in order to connect it to this watch. That's not the operating system on the watch. And it does require an external app. All these kind of do. Apparently it's called The Fit. Okay. Silicone strap it comes with, but it looks like a pretty standard watch band. So you can probably replace that with a leather strap or whatever you want. And it is fully waterproof, as an IP rating, IP69, so water and dust proof. And it says they tacked on 5 ATM, so I guess that's 5 atmospheres of pressure or something. That's how deep you could take it before the waterproofing gives. And it is 50 grams, just judging from the box. It doesn't seem like super heavy. The size is here in millimeters, which, okay. And it says here it does heart rate, sleep monitoring, multi-sport modes, waterproof. and touchscreen. So, okay, yeah, we are just gonna tear this open if I can. Nice packaging though. Looks like it does come in multiple colors. I got the black one, which black watches are fairly inconspicuous, so that's always a good choice. And we have a little box inside a big box. This is undoubtedly going to be the charging cord. Now this does have a wired charging cord, no wireless charging unfortunately, but it's one of these magnetic types, which I've reviewed in the past, a watch that I'm pretty sure uses almost identical to this guy. Yep, you got little magnets there. And little pogo pins. So yeah, that'll do. The cord's only about maybe like 1.5 feet long. Long enough. Yeah. Actually might be interested in designing a little mount thing that like 3D print that goes into this to make a little watch stand. So that might be pretty interesting to look into. We have the watch itself, which is cold. It's actually pretty cold outside, so has a protective layer on it, and yeah, it's decently hefty. It feels like some kind of milled metal on the front. The back is plastic, and then there's this glass insert. I assume it's glass. Yeah, it sounds and it feels like glass, and it's cold. So yeah. So we have the screen itself, which is inset just a tiny little bit underneath the metal bezel there. So that should help a little bit, preventing you from scuffing it up too much. Plus, you could always fit a screen protector if you really wanted to. I don't believe they say whether, like, what type of glass this is, if it's anything tougher than just regular glass. The band itself feels pretty tough. It's significantly wider than I'm used to, but we'll see. It has, like, the double buckles. Really got to make sure it doesn't fly off your wrist. And it comes with, interestingly enough, 2 of these, like, the little things you put the tongues through. I have no idea what watch buckle, something like that. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, feels really nice in the hands. We can see the charging contacts on there, and this is polarized, so it's only going to go on one direction. And yeah, it clasps on pretty tightly, easy enough to remove though. So yeah, not too worried about this like disconnecting while you're charging it accidentally. And yeah, we have some holes here. I'm guessing from the literature I saw this, you can actually make and receive calls on this, which is a step up. Many of these cheaper smartwatches, you can't. By the way, I don't remember what the price is per se off the top of my head. I believe it was somewhere around the $100 mark, but I could be wrong, so I'll put a little description correction here if that's incorrect. But yeah, you can see here there are a couple of holes in the cases. So this does have like a built-in mic and a speaker then, because obviously if you want to make and receive calls, it needs to have those. We have the actual sensor on the back here, the LEDs and the sensor for your heart rate detection. And that's on the glass portion that's slightly raised, so it actually contacts your skin a little bit better. So yeah, it's not like obnoxiously big, I will say. This actually probably still ends up being probably about on par with the Samsung Gear S Gear 2, whatever my smartwatch model currently is. It's about the same size as that, so it's not like silly large or anything like that. It's kind of more, its profile is kind of larger because it's not circular. It has squared off corners, but it's actually fairly thinnish. It's not like stupidly obtrusively tall, so I'm happy with that. Yeah, let's just see. Hopefully the battery's charged, because that could also be a thing that I need to charge. What? Wow, this is like the longest accordion instruction I've ever seen. It's like 15 panels wide. Okay, touch and hold power button. So it's this wheel, which looks like it actually does rotate. So I wonder if that's like a scroll wheel. That'd be neat. Yeah, we're going to do that for 5 seconds and see if it turns on. If not, I'm grabbing the charger. It's already been 5 seconds. So yeah, I'm guessing it's been really cold today, so the battery's probably dead on this. I'm going to run and charge this actually, and then I'll be back with you guys in a sec. Okay, so we're back. For you guys, it was only a second. For me, it's been over 2 weeks actually. And so, as soon as I was done filming the last segment, I fully charged this watch. Actually, speaking of which, I left the cord upstairs. But anyway, whatever. So, yeah, I fully charged it. Uh, I kept this on almost 24/7 for so I got it on a Thursday, and it's currently a Saturday. So it's like 2 weeks and then 2 days, something like that. So yeah, I've had this for quite a while, and this is off the original charge. And if we see here, so I have it sort of in a low power mode because I wanted to test the current draw on the high, and this battery saver mode, which is, I believe, it basically dims the screen to like minimum brightness, and it disables communication with your phone, but it still will, for some reason, like it'll still allow you to like take calls on the unit, and it still actually senses like all your sleep and your heart rate and all that kind of stuff, even in the sleep mode. But I believe it just disables like notifications and that kind of stuff. But anyway, here you can see I have 33% charge left. That's after a little bit over 2 weeks of use. Now, the first week of use, talking about the battery life in specific, the first week of use, I had it on full brightness. I had it 10 seconds for the backlight timeout, and I used it actually normally how I would use a smartwatch. I didn't worry about battery draw or anything like that. And for the first week, it went down to about 50% for 1 week. So if you're going to use it kind of heavily, you should expect about 2 weeks of battery life using kind of the high performance regular mode. If you turn on that battery saver mode here, if I just swipe down, if I hit this, it'll warn you. It says it turns off vibration and your wrist raise notification. So that's when you raise it up and you look at your wrist, you flip it over, it'll auto turn on the screen normally. It'll disable that and turn down the brightness. So if I click OK, then it just dims completely. In this mode, over a week, it basically went from 50% to 33% in like a week and 2 days, something like that. So in this mode, I can easily see this reaching well over a month of battery life off of one charge, that's actually really good in my opinion. So yeah, you can kind of, whether you want it to be like a lot more useful and use it for its like connectivity capability, that'll give you about 2 weeks. If you want to have it just use it as a watch and like manually click the button to view the time sort of thing and lower the brightness, that'll last you over a month. So that's actually not bad. I was used to my Samsung like S Gear 2, whatever it was called, smartwatch. I would charge it every like 4 days ish. And yeah, that was okay, but it was kind of annoying if I'm being honest. Things that I really like about this watch, the build quality is fantastic. So I've smacked this into things like significantly enough, and I can't see any permanent damage. I mean, there's smudges from my fingerprints, but yeah, no nicks. The metal here is like really, really rugged. I'm liking that. I think they made the right choice. So it is a bit of a thicker watch, but 100% I would have a slightly thicker watch if it gave me better battery life. So I think they did the right thing in making it a little bit thicker in exchange for, extra runtime. One thing that no review that I tried looking to see if other reviews mentioned this before I got this, whether the crown was an actual like rotary sensor. It is not. It's just aesthetics. This is just a pusher. So it only detects when you push it in or out, or when you push it in, but otherwise it won't rotate. You can see there I'm fiddling with it and it's doing nothing. So it doesn't actually sense the position of that knob. So that's a bit, it would have been nice, but honestly it's not that necessary. It's a touch screen. You can flick up, flick down, flick wherever you want. Yeah, something that I found surprisingly good is your ability to you can actually use this as a phone. Now it uses your actual phone. This just acts as like a Bluetooth headset basically. But the speaker on this is surprisingly decently loud. I believe this is the speaker and this is the mic. It's pretty decently loud, honestly. And the other people I was talking to the other end didn't even know I was talking through a watch. They thought I was just on like speakerphone through the phone itself. So it's decent enough. I mean, audio quality probably isn't the greatest. They're using a tiny little mic. It's not directly pointed towards your face. But yeah, it works just fine. And I didn't notice like any kind of connectivity issues. Then again, I always have my phone in my pocket when this is on my wrist, but there's no dropouts or anything like that on the call, so that was really good. I actually haven't bothered with the MP3 player controller thing because I actually don't use this phone. Only has 256 gigs of memory, so I would fill up pretty much that entire thing just storing my music library. So I actually use a separate dedicated MP3 player. So I don't even use that. So I probably will never use this mode, but it's nice that you have it, I guess. The alarms I actually did use. They are pretty configurable. If you're used to the Android alarm app, it's very similar. You can set independent days. You can have the exact time. You can change the repeat numbers and et cetera, and toggle each one independently on and off. There's the timer and a like a calculator, and you can add to the screen as many apps as you want, but you're gonna have to scroll left and right a lot. That's the only kind of downside, or just hit the back button down here to quickly go back home. There are a couple different modes actually. We can see here if we go to display your watch faces. So here's the thing. I'll show you in a sec how the app looks on the phone. You can have, it comes with, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It comes with 6 watch faces, one of which is just like a background one that you can change. This one, you can change the background image of on your phone. You can use any picture. You can send it to the watch. That's nice. There's only one user downloadable watch face. There's like a library that they have online, but you can only store one on the watch by itself at any given time, and there's no way to like save your favorites on the phone, so you always have to scroll through the entire list of like hundreds of watch faces to find the one that you want if you want to change it. So that is a bit meh. We'll get to that in a sec. I'll show you the interface for that. Brightness actually goes up decently bright, and there, interestingly enough, is like a flashlight mode where it just displays white on the screen, and that's actually, I used it once or twice when I was in the dark to find a light switch, and it actually worked pretty decently well, so pretty happy with that. We can actually change, we can turn on and off whether when you raise your wrist, if it turns the display on automatically or not. I just leave it on, but save some power if you disable that. Menu view, you can have, I just have the list view because it actually tells you which, like just from the icon, sometimes it's hard to tell what the function is, so this displays the text next to it. You have grid view, which just shows you just the icons, so it's a little harder for me to use. And then you get like some of the other mimicking other like brand name watch faces. Like you got this like fancy schmancy grid sort of thing, and this one that they call it surface. And you got like a crescent one in either direction, and then this sort of one that looks like what Samsung does, or is it whatever the Android smartwatch interface is called. It basically has like this circular ring that you can select, and you have the obligatory Apple-esque honeycomb one, which is basically just this. It's actually really smooth, the like the scaling on the icons, and so I mean obviously this guy has like a decent amount of processing, but I just find this hard to use because I don't have them memorized what every icon necessarily means. I guess if you use this watch a lot, you can memorize them. So yeah, other thing is there are games. There's a 2048, Flappy Bird, basically they call it Floopy, Hamster, which is like Whack-A-Mole, Battleship, which is sort of Galaxian-esque sort of space shooter, and yeah, I played them. They're basically just flash games. There's nothing special there. I actually like, I'm going to keep my menu mode on this guy list. So there, I can see what the name of everything is. It does remember your position in the list though, so if I want to keep it on flashlight, I just scroll to this page, and then when I get out of it, if I turn it back on and go into the menu, it's right at the top. Flashlight just turns the screen on all the way and white. So it looks kind of dim. It's brighter than it looks though, because I have pretty bright fluorescent lights on my bench, so it's kind of washing it out. But yeah, There's a bunch of different apps that I didn't even pin to my desktop. There's an AI voice. I can't for the life of me figure out how to use it. So if we just go to this screen again, it says tap to talk, and I can click it, and it looks like it's doing something, and it does nothing. So I swear to God that that was like some sort of AI helper sort of thing, but for some reason I can't get it to work. Maybe I'm not understanding. I probably just need to RTFM. But yeah, it's not something I would really use all that often, so it's no big loss to me. But yeah, hopefully I can figure out eventually how to use that, because once in a while that might be useful to, instead of having to take out the phone and hold the stupid Bixby button or whatever it's called. That would be nice to have. In terms of just having the weather is actually really nice on the wrist. Some of the apps you can scroll up for like additional information. And for instance, here, when you scroll up on the weather app, it'll tell you, each day's weather and temperature and whatnot. Also, nice touch, it has sun up and sundown indicators and whatnot. Sleep is sort of, I like the idea, but I think it's not that accurate. It says here I slept 10 and a half hours. I can guarantee you I did not sleep 10 and a half hours. Obviously, it's measuring it based off of like the heart rate sensor and like the movement gyroscope sensor. And it's doing it incorrectly for me because I guess I just lie really still, so it thinks I'm asleep when I'm not. But yeah, gives you a star rating for it, apparently. 4 stars out of 5 for 10 and a half hours of sleep. But yeah, supposedly it tracks like the different stages of your sleep. But I don't know how much stock I really put in that. Your heart rate, you can actually graph. It will automatically, if you have this on your wrist, it will take periodic readings all throughout the day and show you sort of this bar graph. That's actually pretty nice. You can always manually, whenever you see a downward arrow here, if you press that, it will automatically force a sensor measurement right then and there. So same thing for blood pressure. It'll show you I am not dead, thank God. Your oxygen level, you can take that as well. And your stress level, which I don't really know how much I trust this either, but it graphs it out and it looks nice. And it says that I'm normal and sometimes relaxed. And so far, not high or medium. That's nice to know. But yeah, it has plenty of apps. Nothing that you can install, as far as I know. I haven't seen in the like the Android app side if you can install your own apps or if that's an ability to. There are firmware updates that you could push to this guy, which could open things up in the future. But judge things as they are and not how they could potentially be, because that might never happen. I'll just take you in a second. I'll open the app and show you how that looks. Okay, so it's called The Fit or something. If I just turn up the brightness all the way, cancel. So yeah, the app is called like DA Fit, The Fit, something. If I just, that does not help. Anyway, just go along with me. So everything, all the data that's logged from the watch is sent, as long as you're synced over Bluetooth, to this menu, which is like the first menu here. And so you can actually use this to keep track. I can look at sleep for every day. I can look by the week, by the month. It's actually pretty useful, and for the most part says I sleep pretty well, but then again, I don't think this is super accurate. The next menu over is information about the watch itself. So here it's saying, shows the model, and it says, yeah, it is a Model S2. It is currently connected. This is the Bluetooth address, and then it shows the battery life, which is nice. Just so you can keep track of when it needs to be charged. Here's what I was saying. You can actually edit a custom watch face. You can change the background or upload your own. Here it says AI watch face. Wonder what that's about. Is it actually like stick an AI face on it? Anyway, you can change the color. You can change the order of the text and what text appears. That's actually pretty cool. But other than that, yeah, you just have your default several watch faces, and then you have face gallery. So if I click that, so yeah, if I click face gallery, here you can see there's just tons and tons of different watch faces, and they're all different and aesthetically interesting. But there's no way to actually save. Whenever I click one, say if I scroll down to here, and if I wanted to transfer this, I'm not going to do that right now, but as soon as you go back and you enter in again, it goes back to the top of the list. So you have to scroll all the way down to find the exact watch face. There's no way to like favorite them or save them to the phone, which brings me to the lamentable point that if the server of this app goes down, the watch will still function perfectly. This app will still function perfectly, but I cannot download any more watch faces then because they're stored in the cloud and there's no way to save them to my phone or like mark them or anything. So their servers need to be continually updated to actually transfer new watch faces to the watch. So I'm not too keen on that. I'm really hoping if they're watching this video, release an update for this app where you can actually save any number of those watch faces that you like to the phone and then either download new watch faces to your phone or transfer them to the watch. That's all I'm asking. It's a small thing, but it would make it a lot more useful. Another thing that I thought was kind of a bit hampered, so there's this menu for notifications, and here you can turn on and off specific notifications, but they just start you off with some. Not really sure what others is now that I'm looking at. There are certain apps that I would like to have it give me notifications about, but that aren't on this list, and that makes it a little less useful because I don't think there really is anything that I can do. There's this others category, which I just paused for a second, thought, I wonder if I click that, will it open up like the Android interface and I could select a custom app? But no, apparently these are all the apps that you can have notifications go to the watch. So unfortunately, I can't customize it. There was another smartwatch, a Boeing, I think was the name of it, that I reviewed quite a while ago. I gave it to my mom, and she uses it happily right now. That one, you could select any app that's on the phone and have it issue notifications to the watch. I thought that was a better implementation. I would like to see something like that in this app. Other than that, yeah, useful. Any alarms that you set up, you can set up on the phone and have it sync to the watch, or set up on the watch and it shows up on the phone. That is fantastic. I really like this functionality. There is even the ability to, you can have the watch like act as a shutter button for, you can see here it actually turned itself on. If I click that, it'll take a picture. I don't think I'll ever really use that, but okay, fair enough, that's an option. So if you click favorite contacts, I'm not going to because it's going to dox my entire address book. But you can go in and send specific numbers to save under the favorite list on the watch so that you can make quick calls to them without having to dial the number. That's really nice. Or alternatively, you can always just bring up the dialer and dial any number that you want. So, but that's nice that they can you can add like favorite contacts and stuff. Here I'm just going to click upgrade, and yeah, I'm already up to date, so no new firmware since I got this watch. It has been running stably. I haven't had any lockups, nothing wrong with the software. The hardware, that like the CPU and the memory and everything, seem to be enough to run this without any kind of issue from a hardware standpoint. So the software also seems pretty stable. I'm liking that. And if we go over to this last tab here, you can just have a profile and whatnot. You did have to, I believe when I first signed up for this app, you did have to give it an email and sign up and create an account, which I know a lot of people are not keen on that. If that's you, then create a burner email and just use it to set this up and never use it again. And that's about it. I know some people are also a little skeevy about leaving this app running in the background because you don't necessarily know what telemetry is going in or out. That's a valid concern. If you are worried about that, there are ways you can actually track what is exactly being sent from your phone to, the ether. But yeah, it's fairly unobtrusive, honestly, the app. It doesn't consume, this battery on this phone's not fantastic, if I'm being honest. And I didn't notice a difference in battery life on this phone before I installed the app and after. So it must not consume like a ridiculous amount of power from my phone. Sometimes is the case with certain apps that run in the background. They'll keep alive pretty often and send enough data that it'll tank the battery on this and then I'll have to uninstall it. But I haven't really found a need to uninstall that app just from this. You can use this phone once you have it set up. Totally without the phone. You can just use this watch as is. But I've been saying this forever and no watch manufacturer seems to ever listen to me. have an app on the watch so you can set the time on the watch without a phone. I don't know why that's such a difficult concept. If anything happens to their app and you can no longer download their app, and the watch battery dies and it loses the time, that would make the watch a brick, basically, because you could never reset the time in that case. So I really want them to just have an app that you don't need to tether the watch to a phone in order to set the time from the network. You can always manually do it. That is the best case. So if I ever, in the future, 5-10 years in the future, if I wanted to use this and the app's no longer available, instead of having a throwaway watch that I can't use anymore, I could at least use this as just a basic watch. That's all I'm asking. It's very simple. I was going to actually pop this open because I do see some torque screws here, and then I noticed they don't really go into anything. If you see their placement, I'm almost absolutely sure that they don't actually go into the plastic underneath, so they're decorative. So I'm betting even if I pulled these out, the rest of this is just going to be sealed with glue. And popping that open will almost definitely damage the waterproofing, so I'd rather not do this. I actually am keen to use this watch for at least quite a while, so I don't want to destroy the waterproofing to see what's inside, unfortunately, and I have a feeling it's going to be kind of sealed like a tank. I guess the last thing I would like to say, last few things, the magnetic battery thingy works great. Fantastic. I love it. I would have liked to seen like a wireless charger, but if that would raise the price anymore, then okay, I would rather just have the magnetic pogo pins. That's fine. If you can lower the price with that. The watch band strap uses like the standard little pin that you can pull down, and so it's toolless. And these straps I've seen in a lot of places, this is just a standard size, so that's fantastic. The way that they design that, it's going to last quite a while, and even if it breaks, you can just go out and buy a new band with that same system, it's a universal system, this little clasp thingy. So that's great. One thing I kind of like, but I don't actually use myself. So there's little teeth in these rubber pieces, you can see there. Before, these were actually flipped 180. They're flipped like this so that they grab into the holes and they don't let go. That worked. I'm just going to shut this off because it's going to keep triggering while I'm holding this. But yeah, I had this flipped 180, and that's so that when you insert the band into them, it physically locks them, and it's your watch is never going to, I've had the problem where these little stupid like wrist strap holders like slide up constantly and then the tongue flies out. That's annoying. That would prevent that, but it makes it really difficult to pull the watch off because you had to kind of fight those little rubber teeth. So I just flipped them 180 and now they don't lock into it. They'll lock into the bottom one, but not this top tongue thing. So that's actually kind of neat. I don't know if they intended it to be used that way, but that's neat that you can use it that way. I like the two little teeth are on the same flap, so you don't have to fight disengaging both of them independently. You just have to pull up on one of them and both of them disengage. That's fantastic design. I like that. Everything's like super tough and rugged. Like the build quality on this, I would say, is the number one reason to get this watch. I know it's not cheap. I know that there are other brands like name brand watches that are in this price range and may have features that this doesn't have, but just like the actual build quality of this is actually really good. I'm really happy with that, and like I said, I am going to actually use this as my primary watch until this battery dies, and probably in the future, when that happens, I don't know how many years down the line, when the battery on this finally goes cactus, I will actually pop this open and try to replace it myself. And you guys will get a teardown video at that point. But yeah, I guess the heater fan just kicked in and is making a racket behind me, so I guess that's my cue to cut this video short after rambling for like half an hour. Anyway, I will have links down below if you guys are interested in picking one of these guys up. Anyway, I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.